Shalom Israel, and welcome to another edition of Yashar Allah's 20-minute breakdown, where I'll attempt to break down the scriptures within 20 minutes. But first and foremost, as always, you know what we do. We give all praises to Yahweh, Bar Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Waha, Rakah, Kadash, and the Akims and the elders in the highways and byways pushing this word in truth and sincerity. All praises. And the elder women teaching the younger women. All praises to you too. And the camps and the solo brothers going out there, making videos, edifying the body, pushing the truth according to scriptures. All praises. Now, what I'm going to touch on today is something that I should have done for a little while, but I've decided to do it today. Because what tends to happen, which happened recently again, very recently, just 2 days ago, before I'm doing this lesson, I've got quite a lot of Muslim people at my workplace. So now and again, we have a conversation about the Qur'an and the Bible. And every time I have a conversation with a Muslim, about the Bible, the first thing they like to say, they quickly try to put down the Bible like it's not the word of the Most High God. They try to say, there's many versions. Then they try to say, it was written by man. And, they say all these things. It was changed. And they say everything about the Bible. And then as soon as you talk about the Quran, they're quick to say, it's original. It hasn't been changed. It was handed to Muhammad by the angel Jibril, which is, translated in the English tongue would be Gabriel, like the angel Gabriel. They claim, which is the same angel that went to Mary to tell Mary she would, have a son, and you'll call his name Yahweh Shai, for he shall save his people. Yeah? It's the same angel the Muslims claim went to Muhammad and handed him the Quran, which according to them is the true word of God, because there's only one copy. It hasn't been changed. There's not many variations of the Quran. But that's not the case. So what I'm going to do now with this Quran, we're going to scrutinize the Quran. Here we go. Yeah, we're going to scrutinize this book of its authenticity. That's the word I was looking for. We're going to scrutinize the Quran today. Let's see, when we go into the history of how the Quran came about, let's see if, as they say, it was handed down by the angel Jibril to Muhammad. Yeah, remember, with that theory, we have to bear in mind that this angel Jibril given Muhammad a book he could never read, because remember, Muhammad was illiterate. He couldn't read or write. So if that was the case, Muhammad would have had to give the book to somebody to read to him. But then there's other conflicted stories to try to say Muhammad recited it, or he was given it and he recited it, and there's these other stories. But I'm going to go into historical evidence, which you can check yourselves when I'm done. You can type in these names I'm going to give you, and their history and what they did and what happened here and there will come up. It's not hard to find this history. So this is the book I always use, the King James 1611, because this book has the Apocrypha, the books that the Protestants in the 18th century under the Roman Catholic Church remove certain books from the Bible so they can teach certain doctrines, yeah? But what I'm going to do now, we're going to look at the history of this, because we know when you go into the Bible, there's many places where it says as it is written, and there's also verses to show you that the Most High gave the word. Great was the company of them who published it, showing that the Most High gave the word, but the men wrote down what, visions, what they were given or what they were told. Just like Moses was given the laws and all that, he wrote them down. He also wrote down their journey and where they went, who they encountered, so forth and so forth. He wrote them down. Other prophets wrote down things. They had scribes, so they would say things and they would be written down. And that's the problem that the Muslims have. They're trying to say that the Bible was written by man, and they're trying to say their Quran is from God. But let's see, when we go into the history of how the Quran came about, let's see if it was also written by men. But the difference with the Bible, this was written by holy men that had the Spirit upon them to write certain things. Because why? They were keeping the commandments. So the Most High God gave them revelations and he gave them instructions, and he told them, many of them, where it says, note it in a book for a time to come. So this is how we have this. Now let's go now and see how this came about. See if it was written by man, which Islam claims the Bible is, and that's why it's not true and it's been changed. But let's see if this was written by man, or if this was handed down, by the angel Jibril, and given to Muhammad, their so-called prophet Muhammad. So let's see if that's the case. Now, what I'm going to do first and foremost, I'm going to just show you. I've just got a video. I'm going to put the fair usage on the screen where this is video. It's not my content. It's someone else's that I've cropped from a debate this guy was having with this other guy. And this particular Muslim says the very same thing that I hear all the time when I'm debating Muslims about the Bible and the Quran. He says the same thing. The claim he makes about the Bible and the claim he makes about the Quran. But it's funny, when they say something about the Quran, you must just accept it because that's just how it is according to them. But the Bible now, they can rubbish it and you have to believe it's no good, it's no profit. But let's double now into this and let's see. So I'm going to play a clip first. I'm going to start my timer. I'm going to put the fair usage, for educational purposes. I'll put that on the screen first. Then I'm going to play a video, and then I'm going to go into some of the history of some people that noted things that was there when this took place. So with that, I've got my timer. I'm going to start in 3, 2, 1. Boom! We're away. Let's go.
Muhammad, first of all, did not author the Quran. He was a messenger of the words of God. The Quran claims to be the infallible word of God itself, whereas the Bible was written by humans themselves.
You can't show me 2 different versions and say these are both from God. I only see 1 version. When I see 10 different versions, I question it. Coming from God? How do we have 10 versions? Did God write this, or did the believers of God write it? But when I only see 1 version, and I can show you the chains of authenticity, then I believe in it.
Now, there you have it right there. First and foremost, before I say anything or go into anything, I'm going to read the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 17 and verse 6, and it reads, Deuteronomy, chapter 17, verse 6, at the mouth of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses shall he that is worthy of death be put to death. But at the mouth of 1 witness he shall not be put to death. Now, the reason why I read that verse, just showing you that the Bible shows, if you sin, say you sin, this was a law, if you sinned and somebody is calling you out on it, and especially if it's a sin that's worthy of death, you can't take one person's word for it, because then otherwise it's my word against yours. There must be at least 2 or 3 witnesses to confirm that this is true. And then at the mouth for 2 or 3 witnesses, then, you could be put to death. But this is after, obviously, diligent inquisition, because, you do have false witnesses, which could be more than one that can arise. But the point I went here, just to show that there's got to be at least 2 or 3 witnesses. Now, when you look at the Bible, when you look at the Torah, the first 5 books, that's Moses. Then you've got Joshua, then you got, other prophets, so forth. So the point I'm bringing that for, and even in the New Testament, you got Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, you got Paul, you got Peter, you got all these other prophets that are saying things, especially in the book of Matthew, Mark, and Luke. those three gospels, they're virtually identical. There's a little variations here and there of those guys that made the recording of what was said and what happened. It's just like with anything, like something happens on the road. The police, and if the police attend and start asking for witnesses, they don't just ask one person, because 10 people could stand there and you can get 10 different variations of what just transpired. Not that anybody's lying, it's the fact that you see things differently. So if I got those 10 people's evidence, I can build a better picture of what went on than if I just spoke to one person only. So the Bible showing you that at the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses may every word be established. Basically, that's what it's saying. Now, with the Quran, let's go there. Let's start with who wrote the Quran. Now, I'm going to read something here that I downloaded from the internet, and it reads, who wrote the Quran? Muslims believe that the Quran, the holy book of Islam, was revealed to Muhammad over a period of 23 years, starting with the initial revelation at Mount Hira. After the Prophet's death, his successor complied these divine revelations into a manuscript. Now, that's something I downloaded from the internet after doing various searches. So that's what they say. Now, watch this. Now, this is from a historian, and he writes this. Yeah, he didn't leave his name. He wrote this. The Prophet Muhammad disseminated the Quran in a piecemeal and gradual manner from AD 610 to 632 AD. The year in which he passed away, which is 632, is the year Muhammad passed away. It says, in the year which he passed away. The evidence indicates that he recited the text and scribes wrote down what they heard. Now, here they're saying, like you always hear people, like Muslims say that Jibril brought the text to Muhammad. But here one scholar is saying that Muhammad recited the text and scribes wrote them down. Now, let's bring in one of his scribes that is well known. Well, it should be well known among the Muslim community. Yeah, Zayd bin Thabit, born 611 CE, and he died 665 CE, aged about 53 to 54 years old. Now, this is the write-up about him. Zayd bin Thabit was the personal scribe of the Islamic prophet Muhammad, serving as the chief recorder of the Quranic texts. He hailed from the Ansar, which means helpers. Later joined the ranks of the Muslim army at age 19. After Muhammad's passing in 632 CE, he was ordered to collect the Quran into a single volume from various written and oral sources. He was a noted expert of the Quran and spent much time reciting it. So this man now, this is Zayd bin Thabit. He's Muhammad's scribe. So he recorded what Muhammad is saying. Now, listen to this. This is Muhammad's era, because remember, Muhammad era is around about 570 CE, and then he dies 632 CE. Now, listen to this now. Zayd had the role of writing down the Quranic verses that were sent to Muhammad from Allah through the angel Gabriel. This is what they say. Zayd had also been commanded by Muhammad to learn Hebrew, and he took a fortnight to master each of the languages, including Persian, Coptic, and Greek, which he used to work as an interpreter of Muhammad. So these are the things. So he learned Hebrew. Why? Because when you go into the Quran, there's a lot of verses that they've taken from the Bible and they've added in their Quran. That's what they've done. Compilation of the Quran. Now listen to this, a main article here in the history of the Quran. Now it reads, after Muhammad's death in 632 CE, Zayd, who became a Quran expert, was assigned the role of authenticating and collecting the oral and textual Quranic revelation into a single bounded volume. So he was given that task to collect all that into one single volume. This initiative was started on the Rashidim. You have to excuse my pronunciation of some of these words. Rashidim Caliphate. Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr's agenda, especially after the Ridiyah wars of hypocrisy, that's in brackets, and the Battle of Yamana in particular, in which a large number of Quran memorizers, around 360, perished. Umar convinced Abu Bakr that the Quran should be collected in one manuscript, showing there was other manuscripts. So he's convinced this Abu Bakr that the Quran should be collected into one manuscript. Let's read on. So during Abu Bakr's reign as caliphate, Zayd was given the task of collecting the Quranic verses from all over Arabia and was the head of the committee, including, there's other people, including, I can't say his name, something like Ubay bin Kabi or something like that, which performed this task. The number of people in this committee in some sources are around 25, whereas in some they number to 75. This is in the committee. Zayd finally accepted. See this? So now Zayd finally accepted the task and, according to him, started locating the Quranic material and collecting it from parchments, sculpture, leaf stalks of date palms, and from the memories of men who knew it by heart. So these are just men saying things according to them who knew it by heart. Now listen to this. When Zayd had completed his task, he left the prepared sulfur, which would have been the sheets, which are the sheets are called sulfur, or what's another word what they use it in here now? Surah, which are the sheets. He left the complete. Let's take it from here again. When Zayd had completed his task, he left the prepared surah, which are, it says in brackets, sheets, with Abu Bakr. The surahs had received Iman approval by almost all of the companions of Muhammad, including Omar and Ali. Now, these must be prominent men, why they've named them. It says, listen to this now, there was no objection on the authenticity of the surahs. Later on, before Abu Bakr's death, Abu Bakr left the surah with Umar, who in turn left it with his daughter, Hasafa, Samana and Alicia were wives of Muhammad who memorized the Quran. So it looks like so far the Quran is being put together by men's memory and things that were written down on these palm leaves, these stalks, these parchments and sculptures, things like that. These are what, according to historians, this is how it came about. Now it gets better. Listen to this. During the time of Caliphate Uthman, now this is a name you've got to remember. During the time of Caliph Uthman, by which time Islam had spread far and wide, differences in reading the Quran in different dialects of Arabic language became obvious. A group of companions headed by Yahafa bin al-Yaman, who was then stationed in Iraq, came to Uthman and urged him to save the Muslims. Hear that? Urge him to save the Muslim before they differ about the Quran, showing you there were different dialects, there were different writings of the Quran. There wasn't only one copy. But we're going to get into the reason why there's only one standard copy out there now, why Muslims make this bold claim. But there's a reason for that. We're going to get into that right now. Watch this. Now listen to this. Uthman obtained the manuscript of the Quran from Hasafa and again summons the leading authority, Zaid bin Thabit, and some other companions to make copies of it. Zaid was put in charge of the task. The style of Arabic dialect used was that of the Quranish tribe. Hence, this style was emphasized over all others. Now listen carefully to this. In about 650 AD, Uthman began noticing slight differences in recitations of the Quran as Islam expanded beyond the Arabian Peninsula into Persia, the Levant, and North Africa. In order to preserve the sanity of the texts, he ordered a committee headed by Zayn bin Thabit to use Caliph Abu Bakr's copy and prepare a standardized version of the Quran. Thus, within 20 years of Muhammad's death, the Quran was committed to written form. That text became the model from, listen to this, that text became the model from which copies were made and promulgated throughout the urban centers of the Muslim world. With the other versions, listen to this, with the other versions ordered to be burnt by Uthman. So that's why you don't have any other copies, because you had them all burnt. Let me read on. While the Shia use the same Quran as the Sunni Muslims, they do not believe, however, that it was first compiled by Uthman. The Shiites believe that the Quran was gathered and compiled by Muhammad during his lifetime. But that's what they can believe, but there's no proof of that. This is now written proof of what happened to the Quran and how you only got the one copy, why there's not many other copies or many other versions or different styles. And this is why you try to say it's authentic. But no, men recite it and men wrote it down, what was being recited. And men had other things written here and there. Those were all compiled together and put into one volume. Now it says here also, Uthman's reaction in 653 CE is recorded in the following hadiths of the Sahar al-Bakraha, or however you say it. But nevertheless, if words I can't say, I might just put them on the screen when I've done this. And, those who can read, pronounce them, you can say them. But watch this anyway. Let me read this bit as well. Well, listen to this. So Uthman sent a message to Hasafa saying, "Send us the manuscript of the Quran so that we might compile the Quranic material in perfect copies and return the manuscript to you." This is a letter he had wrote to Hasafa. This is Uthman, yeah? Let me read on. Hasafa sent it to Uthman. Uthman then ordered Zaid bin Thabit, Abdullah bin Zabur, Said bin al-Azan, Abu Rashman bin Haraf bin Harash, however you pronounce his name. Anyway, there's a few other people here. He had them, listen to this, yeah, to write the manuscript in perfect copies. Uthman said to the three Quranish men, "In case you disagree with Zaid bin Thabit on any point in the Quran, then write it in the dialect of Quranish. The Quran was revealed in their tongue." They did so, and when they had written many copies, Uthman returned the original manuscript to Hasafa. Uthman sent to every Muslim province one copy of what they had copied, and ordered that all the other Quranic materials, whether written in fragmentary manuscripts or whole copies, be burnt. So, with all the other copies, all the other variations of the Quran were burnt, and you made sure only one copy was left, which you standardized that copy and put it all out there for all Muslims. That's why you make your bold claim. Actually, I'm out of time, so I hope that little bit of history was enlightening. So I'm almost out of time. So with that, this is Yasharallah. We out.